Hi, welcome to the Happiest Self. This is Cynthia Belmer, and I'm so excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking about the inner child. So, what is the inner child? How do you know when it shows up in your life? Especially if you feel like the same experiences from your past are being repeated over and over again, but with different people and it's taking different form. As well as if you feel like the same feelings are being repeated and you feel like you're going through circles and you don't know what's going on with you and you feel stuck, then this episode is so perfect for you. I also have an amazing person with me. She's a great friend and a great inner child expert. Her name is Mercedes Guzman. She's also an international speaker, a published author, and she works with women and men and everyone from all over the world. Please welcome Mercedes Guzman. So excited to have you and to chat with you about the inner child world.
I am so excited to be here, and it's a pleasure. Thank you for creating this platform where we can experience and talk about greater things that can help humanity. Thank you, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you so much. When I'm not feeling good, you're the one I go to. I give you a call and I feel so much better right away. And I thought it would be great to talk about the inner child world. Not so many people are aware of that. And I want to hear a little bit of your experience about how you started discovering the inner child and what is really the inner child? How do you really define it?
I'm so glad that we're going to be able to talk about this topic because many people, when they are in CEOs or they own their own companies, or they don't care about childish thing. But we don't understand that when we were growing up, there were already setting in place beliefs about ourselves, about money, about relationship, about the way we see the world. And because we don't see it, our brain many times doesn't know that you are an adult, and you start acting from a childish perspective when you are confronted with a situation. And many times you say, why am I acting this way? Why am I doing these things if I know better? Well, that's why I have stayed in this space to teach people about this beautiful energy that is inside of us, that I call it the inner child, that has been broken since he or she was a baby. Because when we are in our mother's womb, 250,000 neurons are being formed in the nervous system of the child, meaning that whatever the mother is feeling, the baby is absorbing it. And then you become this person. You are born into this family with belief, with understanding about things, and you don't have a say in there. Your brain automatically start creating those patterns that later on in life will make you be the woman or the man that you are. And that's why I'm here, defining what is the inner child, your belief system, what that part of you that you don't know why you act a certain way. That's your inner child that is crying, that is hurting, and is asking you, please put attention to me.
So how do we know that the inner child is showing up in our life?
Very easily. Easy. You can notice when you are talking to your husband or your wife, and many times they are saying things that activate something in you, and all of a sudden you become this defensive person, this ugly person, and then the person will look at you and say, hey, I was not saying that. I didn't mean that. But something in your brain activated that. And it happened when we are mothers. Our kids activate that part in you, and then you become this person that you said when you were a child, I'm never going to do the things that my mother did to me, and you are doing it. Why? Because your brain goes 95% to the past and the way that you were programmed. And it shows up in your relationship with money. It doesn't mean if you are poor or rich. If you have conditioning when you were a child about money, it will show up in your finances, in your health. It will show up in every aspect of your life, that broken child.
So can you tell us a little bit about the programming? You mentioned a couple of times the conditioning that we go through at a certain age and the programming. Can you tell us a little bit more about the period where we get programmed or we get conditioned, or how we form our belief system, at what age, and how does that impact our present and our future?
Great question. We're going to talk about neuroscience and a little bit. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I know a lot about the brain. And from 0 to 5 years old, the frontal lobe is not developed, meaning that this is where neuroscientists have found consciousness. In those first 5 years of your life, my life, everybody's life, we are conditioned to believe certain things because we don't have the information consciously to say, hey, that what my dad is doing to my mother is not right. The way my mother is feeling is because she's feeling secure about herself. We don't have that information. What we see is what our subconscious just absorb and it stay there. And if a child sees that mommy is sad all the time, that little boy or little girl is just going to learn to be sad. Or if mother and father are aggressive, many times the boy or the child is going to be programmed to believe something is wrong about me. Or I know people that are since they're a child, they're very wise kids. They interpret things from a totally different perspective of what really is going on. It's like they said, I need to protect my mom. I need to protect daddy. But how a 5 or 4, 6 years old can do that? Can't. That's why those movies where Superman, Superwoman, because many times we wanted to save our parents and we couldn't. There was too much pain going on, but our brain didn't know that. Our brain was accepting that something was wrong up there, but we couldn't define it. And that's where the programming comes. For example, if there was no money in the family and mommy and daddy were fighting about money all the time, that is staying the child's perspective about money. And then that person, when they grow up, they will fight with their husband or a companion about money. Or she or he will have problems with money because it stays in the subconscious mind and you don't know what is going on when you're adult. I remember myself with the relationship that I have with money is there is nothing. There's no money. And even though you're seeing the money in your hands, you're seeing your bank account, your brain goes, there's no money. And then you find ways how to spend that money, how to get rid of that money, and you don't know who is doing it.
And that's usually the little child who formed that belief about money, such as, for example, money causes pain, or money is not good, or there's not enough, if they keep hearing the mom or the dad saying there is not enough money. So they learn that and they carry it with them in their life. Is this correct?
Correct. And you can see many wealthy men or women, and they are afraid that money is going to go away. And many times they're not going to be able to enjoy what money brings because the programming is saying money is going to be gone. And you don't experience to be present because your brain is going to tell you differently.
How do we work with that? So let's say we work with you, or we discover that the inner child is showing up in our life, and the inner child is running the scene right now, whether it was in relationship and career and money, whatever it is. What do we do then?
One of the things that I did is I created a technique that is the inner child love process. And we cannot solve anxiety with more anxiety or fear with more fear. We can't. But if we, in a state of, I use the Silva method. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And I take my clients into a state of alpha where they are 100% present. And you and we go and talk to that beautiful little girl or little boy and explain what is going on. And what we do, we start creating new patterns of neurons so you can be present. Okay? And then you're going to start becoming more aware of your emotions. And when something goes out of hand, like you start feeling this sadness or this anger or this anxiety, you understand consciously that, yes, it's something that happened to the adult, but the way you are reacting is not from an adult perspective, it's from a child perspective. And you grab that anxiety, you grab that anger or sadness, and you really calm that child and say, shh, calm down, sweetie, calm down. Okay? And then you really consciously start taking a deep breath and talking to that beautiful part of you that is crying, that is making tantrums, that is telling yourself that because most of us grew up thinking that we were not good enough.
Yeah.
Our parents grew up with that programming, and it was passing to us. And the underlying feeling is, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve. And when you grew up, yes, you start becoming that person, and you look beautiful, you do a lot of exercise and stuff like that. Okay, you as an adult. But then when you're confronted with someone that would activate that, you go back to that, I'm not good enough. And then the story goes like, I mess it up. I make a mistake. I am dumb. I had a client this morning that she forgot to put in her brain, she saw that an event was August 17, and it was 2 days ago. She was feeling awful. She was feeling, oh my God, she's going to think that I'm not responsible. She's going to think this. And her story was, I'm not good enough. I am a mess. And I told her, calm down, relax, breathe. You're a very responsible person. You know that. And then we went through the process that she can restore her inner child. And she was more aware of what she needs to do next. But when a child gets into the way, you don't know what to do because the child doesn't know how to act, but the adult do know.
Yeah, because usually when the inner child shows up, that's when we're in a state of panic or fear and high anxiety. And it shows up a lot. Like, for example, for me as a mom, I'm learning this a lot. When I'm very anxious, I can't use my intuition as a mom. I can't use my instinct as a mom with my daughter. But when I calm down, whether I do the inner child work or relax myself or meditate, this is when the adult surfaces. I'm like, okay, I can handle it. I know what's going on. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And how does that play a role in loving ourselves?
It played a big part because the moment you start understanding your childhood and what you learn about yourself, that's when you have the power to change the inner dialogue about yourself, what you have. For example, I used to treat myself so bad, Cynthia, because now that we are adults, mommy and daddy are not there, but we're there 24/7. And I remember when I used to make mistakes, I used to say to myself, I am dumb, I'm stupid, I'm never going to fulfill what I am saying that I need to do. I will treat myself and make myself like this, okay? When I understood about the inner child process, the love, I started seeing myself how I was treating myself. And those words were implanted in my subconscious mind when I was a child. One of the words that stuck with me, it was, you're not trustworthy. Oh my gosh. That was so painful for me because no matter what I used to do as a child, my mother will not believe me. Okay, and then you become this person and you start acting under that. Whatever you do that is maybe something like you forgot to call someone, then you start treating, I am not trustworthy. Nobody can trust me. Oh my God, I made a mistake. Or maybe you promised your child to do something and you didn't do it. Wow, oh my God, I am a terrible mother. And then you start saying all those phrases about yourself. When you understand this, you start calming that little girl and say, it's okay. It's okay, sweetie. Don't worry. You are enough. You belong. And I start saying many times, 27 times a day, I am enough. I am enough. Why 27 times a day? Well, I read that you have to say at least 10,000 times something. Because when you were a child, you were every hour, every day, of every week, of every month, of every year in that house with that belief. That means there is millions and millions of neurons connected about how you like yourself. So, in the present time, you have to tell that little girl and yourself that she is enough, I am enough. I am worthy of everything great. I do it all the time. Even when I wake up at night, I choose to say that.
So I love that you said the word. Yeah, I love that you said the word to choose, because a lot of times we feel like we don't have control over what's happening. But then we always have a choice when we become conscious of what is really going on with us. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you got to that point where you feel you can decide how you want your future and your present to be like?
Okay, it's a process, okay? First, you start building your physical environment, meaning that, for example, I start cleaning my drawers, okay? I start cleaning my car or my purse, because when you have a messy place, you are not able to really think clearly. Okay, then you start physically looking more yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you, you are beautiful. You start saying yourself those things. Then this is my experience. That's what I did first. Okay, I took care of myself. And then we start in the Maslow, how do you call the Maslow hierarchy? You first take care of yourself. Then you start loving yourself. You start loving yourself, forgiving yourself. You start forgiving yourself. You start giving yourself a break, because many times we can be our worst enemies and we can, shoot ourselves. Okay? Then you work with your self-esteem. You start really working with that part in you to nurture that little girl. What I used to do, I would call my Merceditas, because that's how they call me in my country, Merceditas. And I will say, Merceditas, where are you? And many times, Cynthia, I found that little girl in a corner with my fist like this, with anger. This anger that, oh my gosh. And that will show up in my relationship, my anger, my sadness, that I didn't like myself. And then I will call her and bring her into the present time. That means that my both side of the brain start working and saying, Merceditas, we're not there anymore. We're here. I love you. I love you. I love you. I protect you. You are enough. I am enough. And then when you go through this process, you go into another level, and it's allowing. You allow grace to enter your life. You start seeing the hands of God, angels, whatever you call it, into your life. You start seeing more and more the reality of who you are. But it needs to start with you, physically, emotionally, and look at what you're saying to yourself.
I love the process that that you're talking about, and I think it makes so much sense logically and emotionally to take that one tiny step at a time. What I notice is that sometimes people are impatient, and I love that you brought this up because it's a process. They think that, okay, like I went to do like I did coaching, and I didn't get the result that I want, or I went through the inner child work a few times, and I feel better, but I did therapy, I did a lot of those things. There's always a but. How is this going to help me? This didn't change completely my life, or it changed a little bit, but not to the way I want. I think a lot of people miss out that, people can help as much as, like people like us, they can help as much as they can, but it's also a process that everyone has to go through. It's a journey. It's not like a one session thing fix. So kind of like what you're talking about, up until now, you still practice and call Mercedita over and over again. And I love that. I'm so grateful that you said that, because I sometimes forget that, even though I do this work every day, and everyone forgets that it's a journey that we have to go through maybe for the rest of our lives. So I'm so grateful that you brought this up.
Yes, well, I even wrote my book.
Yes.
It's going to be in English next year. And it's about the forgotten child. Okay? And it's a journey that we have to be doing to come back to love and innocence. Okay, yesterday I saw 3 beautiful kids. Okay, 12, 14, and 14. Okay, do you imagine these kids? Their inner child, when it was 6 and 8, were broken.
How do we know that? How do we know that? So you mentioned the word broken. How do we know that we were wounded as a child? Sometimes people, they've been through abuse and they think it's normal, especially if you're from a different culture. Like from my culture, I did not go through that. But some people I know that they were beaten, or they were being spanked, or I know some people who used to hit their child's head against the wall, and they think this is how they're teaching their child. And part of the culture, they think this is normal. It's okay to do that. So how do we know when an inner child has been wounded?
Okay, I'm so glad that you're asking that question, because many people say, I was beaten by my mother and my father, and look at me, I am okay. I look at me, how much things I have. We measure success by what you have.
Yes.
But nobody is inside your house when you are in that room crying because your relationships are broken.
Yeah.
Okay? You are going to see the outer world and you say, oh, she looks very fun. People look at me and she said, oh my God, Mercedes, she has everything. Nobody knew what was going on in me as a broken child. Because a broken child can collapse, for example, when she or he comes home and show mommy and daddy his grades, and the father or mother said, oh no. I had a child the other day that when she was 8, she brought bad grades to the house. Guess what happened? Daddy grabbed the belt and spanked her very hard. And that little girl started crying. She believed that she was not good enough no matter what. And she is a very intelligent girl. Okay, then you don't know what happened to these people. You see them thriving. Because we see the world thriving with possessions. Okay? There is some people even that are writing books. But if you notice the relationships are broken. With themselves, with money, with their body, with their health. Okay? And for example, I have seen couples that they are loving couples. I mean, they love each other. But the problem is not with the couple, it's one of the kids. And they're having troubles with one of their kids. Okay? Because the energy that is staying in you, in that body, emotional body, doesn't go anywhere. And it has to have an outlet. And many times when we are angry, we don't do it to maybe our companion, but to our kids or to even animals.
Yeah.
People hurt animals.
I'm so glad that you brought this up. So part of being a mother is also taking care of your inner child. And the more you take care of your inner child, the more you're going to be patient and loving towards your child. I've seen people, mothers, they're really very loving mothers, and I don't think they're aware of what they're doing, but the constant spanking, the aggression, the being impatient towards their children is an indication of discomfort within themselves. So my question to you, do you think when mothers or fathers do that, do you think this is when their inner child is showing up? What do you think this is about?
Love that question, because who raised my kids for a good period of time was a 14-year-old girl. and Cynthia, I used to call my kids Carlos, Mauricio. Those were my brothers. My brain will go to the past, and when I got so upset with my brothers, I remember I tried to fix everyone when I was a child. I tried to be the savior. And then when I was confronted with my kids, Cynthia, I would become a 14-year-old girl. And a 14-year-old girl doesn't care about things. And she acts from anger and resentment. And I learned who was raising my kids, and I started noticing, Cynthia, when I started acting in a certain way, I knew that it was not me, the adult, because an adult would not do that. A healthy adult would not do that. I knew that it was coming from my broken inner child and extended to the adult, that now I can say and spank and do certain things. But yes, many times you have to observe yourself, because it's not you. It's someone else that is doing it, that is your inner child.
So how do you deal with that when you discovered that it was the 14-year-old in you? What did you do to shift back?
First, I start noticing. Second, I start forgiving myself. Because many times when you notice something bad about yourself, you start judging yourself. And we cannot solve judgment with more judgment.
Yes.
We cannot solve pain with more pain. That's mindfulness, okay? Then when you start really observing that part in you, you forgive yourself, and then you talk to your kids. I remember saying to my kids, what you saw me doing, that wasn't me. That was a part of me that is hurting. I'm sorry. And then you ask for forgiveness.
I love that you brought this up, because I come from a culture, and the people that I work with, they mostly come from the same culture, where the mother has to always be respected. So the mother is top, children down. So some mothers, they have hard time saying I'm sorry to their children. They think by doing that, they're actually losing respect. They're losing their place in the whole relationship, in the dynamic. And I love that you brought this up. So can you tell us a little bit more? Why is it important to say I'm sorry to your children?
Because when we don't say sorry, the kids think that the adults knows better. We adults don't know better, okay? That's why it's so important that you get to the level of a child and tell that child that we make mistakes, that we're not perfect. Because if not, that child is going to think that there is perfection. And the moment that they make a mistake, is not a mistake. And then the circles of anger and resentment continue. And you notice certain families that they hate their mother, but they have to respect her.
Yes.
Because she's better. And that is a very painful thing that I have seen in my clients. They hate their elders, but they have to be respected. That's not respect. That is other things. I don't know who called that respect. Respect is when you honor someone, when you really love that person because she was willing to say, hey, I'm not perfect, I make a mistake. Because vulnerability is one of those huge things. Oh, don't cry. That's weakness. Oh, don't say. But Oh my God, we're humans. We're not robots. And that's what is so important, to understand us and understand that child, and to ask for forgiveness when you make a mistake. You're gonna teach a new humanity, the new humanity, to be more humans,
To be
more
human.
caring, more loving.
And more trusting. They know that they can trust you, and then they know it's okay, to make mistake, because I'm still good even though I make a mistake.
It's one of the biggest things, trust. Because many times we don't trust about our own feelings, our own ideas, because we think that they know better, because the adults make us believe that they knew better when they didn't. And that's why it's so hard for us to trust ourselves. And I think if we integrate this forgiveness process with our kids, we're going to create a new humanity.
Oh, yes, I think that's so beautiful and so wonderful. And it's more intimacy too, to decide what kind of relationship you want to have with our children. Do you want to have an intimate relationship, or do you want to have a closed up relationship where I'm top and you're bottom? Yeah, so I'm practicing that with my daughter. So I'll tell you in a few years how's that working. Oh yeah,
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, having children is a great way to apply what you've learned, I guess, and to see where you're at also, where you still need more love towards yourself, and more helping your inner child, and helping all the voices in your head. So you have a book. You brought it up a little bit earlier. What is the name of the book?
Well, in Spanish is El Niño Olvidado, un viaje de regreso al amor y la inocencia. But in English, it's going to be The Forgotten Child, a journey to come back to love and innocence. And this book is being bought in all the world. I have people that are buying it even in Germany. I'm so glad for Amazon that allowed to do that. And it's changing life because it's my story. Is my transformation and some techniques that I use to heal my inner child. And I'm very proud of myself. I have learned to love this beautiful little girl, and I know that it's been a process to recover my strength and my power as a woman. And I'm just inviting everyone to really put attention to that part in you that is crying, that is lost, and many times you don't put attention to it. And I invite you to call that little girl or that little boy by his or her name, and bring it to the present time.
How can people find you? How can they schedule a session with you, and how can they find you?
You can go to Mercedes, like the car, Guzman, GUZMAN.com. And there is a button in English that says English, and they can go there, and you can book an appointment with me, or call into the phone number is 470-244-5113. That is my office. And Facebook, Mercedes Guzman. You can find me there. Mercedes B. Guzman, because there is a lot of Mercedes Guzman there. Yeah. B. Guzman, yes.
Wonderful.
But thank you so much, Cynthia. I honor you. I love you. You're an amazing person, and you're helping a lot of people too. And opening up this space is miracles. It's a miracle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping so many people. I love you so much, and I guess I'll have you again soon.
Yes. And everybody that is listening there, I love you. Te quiero mucho.
1 second.